What's up, guys? So Indiana Jones and Dial Destiny is finally here, with this being the fifth and final film, we followed Harrison Ford the last time playing Indiana Jones, and with them team up with Phoebe Waller-Bridge to go on this one last adventure to find the missing piece of the dial. With this film, I gotta say, I thought this was a good ending film. I thought it had some great moments, some good action sequences. It was even with this film, and that had some parts I was unhappy with, and so much more to discuss as well. And so in this video will be a full official review for Indiana Jones, and let's see guys my thoughts. And plus this will be spoiler free, but once I get towards the end, and there will be some spoilers as well, and plus go over the ending as well. And so if you're new to the channel and don't at least be sure to subscribe and the bell so myself videos of this. And so let's get to it. And now, going in this film, with it being the fifth and final film, I really like this franchise, especially that Indiana Jones delivered, and especially with Steven Spielberg. He is the go for directing this franchise. Even with the adventures that Indiana Jones goes on, especially with people from his past. And even so, as I love the first four films, plus with this fifth film being directed by James Mangold, who directed Logan, which I found to be the greatest comic book movie of all time. But with him directing this film, and plus I love that from the start of the movie. But even with the movie itself, I kind of feel like a lot of times Spielberg takes from the franchise, and even with the Mangold's direction of what he decided to do with this movie. I think I was very unhappy with, but it delivered some good stuff. And now with this movie, I really like how it opened up, especially as it felt like an Indiana Jones film, and even with D.H. Harrison Ford, I really like what they done, and even so, I really like the de-aging effects they did to Harrison Ford, making him look young, especially from the franchise that they all know and love, and even so with them on the train with his friend Baz, and even so, I thought this film felt like a real Indiana Jones film within like the first 15 minutes. But even with the rest of the movie, I kind of felt like a zone out for like some parts, but it had some good moments and more. And now let's talk about Harrison Ford in this film. Like I thought this was a really nice being in the fifth and final one, and it's because I thought this was a great send out to the character, and he's just been on so many adventures and taking risks, and even with the team up with the people from his past within the first four films, and even so, I just really enjoy his character, and really like with Harrison Ford, he really delivered as Indiana Jones, especially as he's like getting old, but he still delivered in this film, and even with the great action that he takes on, and even so, I really like how he teams up with Phoebe Waller-Bridge. And now, with the whole purpose of this film is with Indiana Jones, who's now retired from being a college professor, and like celebrating and teaming up with Helena Shaw to find the missing piece of the dial that I found like on the train during the war when it was captured, and even so, like with Mads Mikkelsen, who is the villain of this movie, I just really enjoy his character, and even with the villainous role that he delivers, I just really enjoy it, especially with Baz being Indiana Jones' sidekick, and with being Helena's father. I just really enjoy his presence, and like even though he doesn't show up much during the film, I just enjoy Baz and the fact that he's Indiana Jones' sidekick, and even with Indy and Helena using every tool to find the missing piece of the dial. And now, with the pacing of this film, I kind of felt like some parts be like really good, but at the same time, like the whole film, I kind of felt like slow at some points. This was just like interesting the characters and into the development, and even with them trying to like find the missing dial, and even dealing with the Mads Mikkelsen's character. But even so, I really enjoyed what this movie delivered. I thought it had some great action, especially with this car chase right here that happens like like in this town, and so I just really enjoyed it for what this movie delivered. And even with the action sequences that Indiana Jones delivered in this film, I kind of found it to be enjoyable, especially with the scene right here with him riding on a horse to get away from a train, especially with the sequence right here of him being chased while riding on a horse. Even with the reports that came out from the past that Harrison Ford suffered a real injury in the making of this film because with Indy, throughout this entire franchise, he took risks while going on adventures, and even that's why I found this film enjoyable. It's because Indy takes risks while going on these adventures. Plus, I love that the action, even what Indiana Jones delivered. And now, even with the story and just with the film in general, I kind of found it to be a really enjoyable within the first 15 minutes. It felt like in Indiana Jones film, but even with the rest of the story, I kind of found it to be a really solid. And even it has some good action. But even with the chemistry between Indy and Helena, I just really enjoyed their time in this film. I thought they were great together, especially with this twist, and even like I had some moments in it I was unhappy with at some points, but even with these side characters, which like I kind of found to be good, but at the same time I didn't enjoy them like that much, and even so with the story and the way that I decided to go with the route to end this franchise, I kind of found to be pretty dull. And even with this film that had a time travel elements, because if you see the marking of the film that there's going to be time traveling in this film, which I really enjoyed because I thought from the start of the movie with a D.H. Harrison Ford, I thought it was a pretty fun adventure, but with the time travel sequence that mainly happens towards the end of the film, and which I kind of found pretty enjoyable, but at the same time, even with them going back in time, I just found it to be really good. And now with the character interactions that happens throughout the movie, I kind of feel like to be really good with the characters that Indy interacts with, especially with this kid right here. And even though every time like someone says at one point in the movie that they want to sell like something that's like a prices, and even with like an ancient relic, Indiana Jones says that the sign it belongs in a museum, which I kind of feel really enjoyable. Even with the character interactions, which I found to be so cool, especially with Phoebe Waller-Bridge as Helena Shaw. I really enjoyed the comedy that actually brought, especially with the Baz about being like her father. And even so, with that Baz would be in the psychic way, which I pretty enjoyed. I thought of the opening of the film, but with Helena, she really delivered her comedy aspects, which I found to be really cool. And at some points in the movie, I really enjoyed, but at the same time, there was some moments I was unhappy with, especially with Indy Helena being chased by Mads Mikkelsen's character, and with these men that they are being chased after, and even so, I love that, like kind of a little bit of Spielberg magic, especially with Indy bringing his whip, and that's what made his character really enjoyable, especially for all Indie fans, especially for those who watch films during their childhood. And even so, I just love the characters so much, and even so, like with the old web, and even so, I just love the action. I thought it was really good. And now let's talk about the ending to this film. That is with a Fuller who failed to make a continental drift, and even with this whole thing that it said takes him to 212 of BBC with the siege of Syracuse, and that's what Indiana Jones went over, and it's a college classroom, and that was like a foreshadowing the rat of the film, and that's what took him back in time, and he went to that event. and even I see their plane crash causing floor and his men to die, and even with Indy and Helena parachute out of the plane, and even so that they land, and even with a twist this movie makes with Indy that wants to stay behind in the past instead of going back to the present day in 1969, but Helena wants to prevent Indy from doing so. Even so, like I didn't like what this movie took us a direction over, especially with them being back in time to an old event, and like especially as an Indy that was shy, even he wants to spend that time there in the past instead of going back, and even so we see a taste plane there, and even that like Helena prevents Indy to go. She punched him, and then that's how he ended up in his apartment back in 1969. And now even in these final moments, we see Indy back in his apartment where Helena, Salah, and his kids, and then we get a surprise appearance by Marion, which who we saw from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and last time that we saw her was in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and even with this marking of Marion's one last appearance, I thought this was a great setup to the character. Even with Indy and Marion recreating this moment on the boat from Raiders of the Lost Ark, with them like kissing in like a different places where it does her. I thought this was a very sweet and a touching moment. And then with his final shot of Helena running with Sal's kids, and then when the camera goes up, and then we see one last shot of Indy's hat before it fades to black. And I thought with this one, this was a great setup to the character, and the fact that Marion made an appearance, and I with Karen Allen, who was going to be in this film, and I just really enjoyed it for what Indiana Jones delivered, and this one, it was a really solid send off. And yeah, with the Indiana Jones and I thought this was a good indie film, and like the fact that this was a great setup to the character. But with the story overall, I can kind of be very solid, but at the same time, I found it really good, especially with the action sequences that like Indy delivers, especially with this being Harrison Ford's the last time playing the character. Even so, like I'm gonna miss his character, but even though like Harrison Ford delivered about this franchise, especially with the first 4 films, delivering that Spielberg magic. But even though with this one I kind of lost taste in that magic, but even with the James Mangold who directed this one, and with the direction that he decided to take, but it was a pretty solid, and this was a pretty good watch. It was very entertaining, and this was a good film overall as well. And so that is going to be for this video. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below, and what your thoughts on Indiana Jones and Destiny. And if you've seen the film, give it a rating between 1 out of 10. Give this video a like, and subscribe and turn on notifications for future videos, and if I have updates, follow me on Twitter. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.